Okay, good morning. I believe we're talking to Ashley Posey, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And what is your DLC number?
511449.
Okay, well, my name is Steve Prater, and we're gonna be holding hearings today. We've got 3 parole hearings, 1 revocation hearing, which is yours. And I understand you're at Livingston Parish Detention Center. And we're here at headquarters in Baton Rouge. My name, as I said before, is Steve Prater. To my right is Pete Freeman. Left, Cheryl Renatza will be making the decisions for today. Staff, would you introduce yourselves?
Francis Abbott.
Okay, and today's date is May the 5th, 2025, and the time is 8:56 in the morning. So that takes care of us. Livingston, would you introduce yourself, whoever's there in charge at Livingston?
Sergeant Jennifer Gomez, Livingston Parish Detention Center Classifications Department.
Okay, all right, well, in your case, the way we do these things is we separate these cases because we handle so many that we give them a particular person to do most of the interviewing, and although we're all familiar with your case, Cheryl Renatza, Ms. Renatza will be doing the interviewing, and so we'll handle the rest here, and we'll hand it over to her. And
good morning. Let me acknowledge that you have your attorney is here with us in Baton Rouge. Ms. Hogan, would you introduce yourself for the record?
Good morning, Jane Hogan here on behalf of Ashley Posey. I'll make a statement whenever the board wants to hear from me.
Good, thank you. So first, the way it'll work, Ms. Posey, is I'm going to read the allegations against you, and then you'll enter a plea of guilty or not guilty. We'll hear from you. I'll ask you some questions. We'll hear from your attorney, and then we'll hear from the folks who are here that want to speak on your behalf. Okay, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
First is that you are accused of violating the conditions of your parole. First of all, it's condition number 3, and it reads, you failed to obtain permission from residing away from your residence. During an interview on March 27, 2025, you verbally admitted to staying at an unapproved residence on multiple occasions. You registered employment in Cameron Parish and admitted to residing in a hotel located in Lake Charles without approval of your parole officer. So how do you plead to violating condition number 3?
Not guilty.
Okay, and we'll talk about it in a minute. The next is condition 4. You allegedly engaged in criminal conduct which led to your arrest by the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office March 27, 2025, and were charged to failure to register as a sex offender. That charge was rejected by the 21st JDC District Attorney's Office, April 29, 2025. How do you plead to violating number 4?
Not guilty.
Then we have number 10. According to the records, at that time, you failed to pay monthly supervision fees in a timely manner and owe $375 in arrearages. How do you plead?
Plead not guilty.
And lastly was condition number 13, which is a special condition. It says, per the sex offender contract that you signed, you may not knowingly be physically present within 300 feet of the victim pursuant to Louisiana law, and it mentions statute 14:91.9. You verbally admitted to being in the presence of the victim to a previous sex offense. According to court documents, you wed Miranda Wolford, which is the victim as identified in Livingston docket 19435 on May 14th, 2024. So how do you plead to violating condition number 13?
Not guilty.
So let me just ask you a few questions, and then we'd like to hear from your attorney. So it's established that you were married to Miranda May of 2024, May 15th, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And your sentence was commuted, and you were afforded a parole opportunity. And let me see, did you release on parole in June of 2023? Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. June 16th, 2023.
Okay. So, since your marriage in May of 2024, how many times have you talked to, reported to, or spoken to your parole officer, would you say?
No, we've had monthly meetings. We had regular monthly meetings and, I mean, there was times I talked to him if I needed to,
Yeah,
give.
so at
you
least
know,
month, at least
Yes,
monthly.
ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So during those monthly meetings, at any time, did you advise your officer of your change in marital status?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I mean, it just wasn't a conversation. I mean, I didn't. I mean, I'm not sure why. I just didn't.
And so when you signed your sex offender contract, I think the first one you signed was, let's see, I made a note. When you released in June of 23, was that thoroughly explained to you?
In 23, no, ma'am, I was released on parole for the second-degree murder charge.
And so when is the first time you signed a sex offender contract? Do you know? I'll let your lawyer answer that question.
Yes.
So let me go on. Did you advise your parole officer about those overnight stays in, I think it was Lake Charles, we said, because you were working in Cameron?
Yes, ma'am. I was working out there. I did stay overnight a few times. I mean, I didn't tell him I stayed overnight. I mean, we did have a conversation, if I was to stay out there, more than 3 days, I would have to register or whatever. I never stayed more than that length of time out there. I would have to register or whatever. But I did register with the parish of Cameron because that was something that I had to do to be able to work in that parish or something like that.
You
So,
registered in Cameron, but your overnight stays were in Lake Charles.
yes, ma'am. That's where where we was residing for our employment area.
So in the notes that I reviewed, that were provided to us, and I guess this is your conversation with the detective at the time you were questioned in March of this year, March 27th of this year. It says you admitted to not staying at your registered address in 2024 and 2023, staying at an unreported address with your wife. I admitted to staying in Lake Charles overnight multiple times. Also, you had a phone number that was not reported on the registry. And so tell us why you withheld all that information from your office.
I wasn't withholding information. As far as my phone number, I think I had changed my phone number in December or something, and I immediately reached out to my parole officer and gave him that number. So to Miss Normandy Hood, which is the lady up here that does our paperwork and stuff. But as far as Mr. Hotard, when he called me, that was the first time I ever spoke to Mr. Hotard. He informed me that he was the new sex offender compliance officer, and he wanted me to come in for a meeting to make sure I was in compliance. So on the 27th, that's when that meeting was held. And soon as we went into the office or the room, he kind of pretty much advised me of my rights and asked me for my cell phone. He asked me for my number and I gave it to him, and he was like, that's not the number I have on file. Give me your number. He took my cell phone. Then they did ask me questions about staying here and there, which I have stayed overnight, but I've never obtained residency anywhere other than my approved residence at 31088 Susie Circle North. And results of that meeting, I was arrested on those allegations where my phone, and he said that my license plate wasn't updated or something, but only my temp tag or something. But I've been having my transportation for almost 2 since I was released. So I just don't understand how that could have been not updated, nor my telephone number, when I made sure to give it to my PO and Miss Normandy And
Okay.
as far as me saying, it was only for
I like
employment
to-
areas.
Violations that we're talking about today don't really include anything to having to do with the phone. I just wanted to mention that
Yeah.
was in some of the paperwork that we had today.
Yeah,
So
and all
I'm-
of those charges were refused by the DA.
I see that, and I read that into the record earlier. And I do want to note also that we've been advised by the DOC that you did complete the sex offense sentence in May of 2007, but you're still subject to all the registration and things that the parole board has nothing to do with. I would like to ask, I'm sure your attorney has a presentation. We'd like to hear from Ms. Hogan.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm happy to be here. I've represented Ashley for years. We got her case when I was still working at the LSU Parole Clinic. It was a unique case because Ashley was in prison for murder. She was serving a life sentence. Her co-defendants had terms of years, and her clemency and her parole were supported not only by the victim's family, but also by the district attorney. And whenever she was granted clemency, the district attorney at the 21st JDC had actually advocated directly with the governor to get a signature on her recommendation. So I'm here not just as her lawyer, but also as sort of a witness to all of the things that have unfolded over the past 2 years. And I also want to acknowledge that to some degree, I might have caused a misunderstanding in why we're here today. Whenever we had the preliminary parole revocation hearing at the jail, the parole officer noted that for the most part, Ashley has been compliant on parole. She's not given them any problems. And that the big issue, for the reason that after the charges were refused by the DA's office, the reason that her parole wasn't just automatically reinstated is primarily because the district parole officer didn't know what to do with the contact with Miranda. They said to us that we need it to be authorized that they can be in contact with each other. Whenever Ashley came home in June, Miranda reached out to me to say that she wanted Ashley's phone number. Miranda was 32 years old at the time. She's here today. She reached out to me and she said, I want to reach out to Ashley. I want to congratulate her on coming home. I want to communicate with her. My understanding of the victim's rights statute was that as long as Ashley is not communicating with her victims, that it doesn't, that there's no, Ashley can't reach out to a victim, but if a victim reaches out to Ashley, I didn't know that was going to cause such an issue. And because I knew that Ashley was on parole for murder, I didn't realize that she had signed a contract about, basically saying that I'm not to be around the victim of the carnal knowledge charge, which predated the murder charge. And as Mr. Rossi mentioned, she had fully completed the term. She got 2 years on that. She fully completed it. So I didn't give Miranda Ashley's phone number, but somehow she got it. They reached, and I've been in contact with Ashley for the past 2 years. So if I had realized that there was a provision in her contract that said you can't be around Miranda, I absolutely would have went about this a totally different way and gotten approval. Scott Parole at the DA's office also knew that they had gotten married, and I was in talks with him. He refused the charges. He's well aware of what's happened in the last couple of months. I've talked to him several times. So to the extent that I think that when you have a lawyer that you're always in communication with, you expect them to flag issues, and I should have flagged this as an issue. I didn't realize it was an issue. I apologize to the board for any malpractice that I've done in this case that has caused us to be here. But Miranda, Miranda is here. She's prepared to tell the board that she doesn't see herself as a victim, that she had actually got married a year ago, that she wants to be able to be in communication with Ashley. It's her wife, her legal wife. I also, during the preliminary hearing, her parole officer had said, if you had just gone about this a different way, we probably wouldn't be here. If you had told us ahead of time, or if you had gotten approval, or if there was a stipulation made that you guys could be in communication, then you wouldn't be here. So to the extent that I played a role in this, I apologize to the board and to all of the division of parole and supervision. Aside from this issue, Ashley's been a remarkable person over the last 2 years. Christy Jeremy is here. She's here to tell the board that Ashley went through the parole project, even though she couldn't reside in their houses, she completed their program, she's diligently worked, she's reconnected with family, and so we're asking this board to reinstate I understand why the unlawful presence law exists. I understand that it's to protect victims. The purpose of that law is not going to be further though by revoking Ashley's parole and sending her back to prison for 30 years. So I would ask this board to reinstate her parole and also to give a condition that it's fine if she is in communication and contact with Miranda, who would also like to address this board before we make it.
Okay, well, so yeah, let's to hear from Miranda.
Hi, I'm Miranda. First want to say that I do not feel like a victim at all. I do feel like that Ashley should have never been charged with criminal juvenile in the first place. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. I don't feel like she should be in jail at all. This has been really devastating since all this has happened. I do want to apologize for everything that has happened and us being here today. I don't think she deserves to be in jail at all. I don't feel like she's a true sex offender. We were both really young, we were both kids, we were both in a consensual relationship. From my knowledge then at that time, she was never supposed to be charged with that. I found out Ashley had come home from prison and I wanted to reach out to her. I was so excited for her. My only intentions in that moment was to tell her, hey, I'm so excited that she was home. I didn't think that she deserved to do 18 years in prison at all. I feel like she should come home. She's a remarkable friend. Her heart is kind. I'm sorry. And I'm sorry for being here today. I'm sorry that all this has happened. I feel like Ashley should come home immediately. I don't feel like she should be in here. She's a great person. And her being home and coming home and God giving her, a second chance to, live life because she was so young, has been a really good thing for my life because she was just such a great sister. My wife is a really good friend to me. And honestly, from my heart, she's truly not a sex offender. And I don't even believe that she should even, be on the registry list or anything because, that's embarrassing. It was car knowledge, we were both kids. It was definitely consensual both ways. And I have truly loved her for 23 years. And she is a beautiful person. And I would like to say one more thing, no matter what, I would really like to please not revoke her and let her come home. Because knowing, if she went to jail or prison because of me, I would not be able to live my life in peace knowing that because I contacted her. She did not contact me. I pursued her and reached out to her and contacted her. And thank you.
Wait, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, where do y'all live now?
I live at 9387 Downey Drive. Ashley does live at Susie Circle and has in the last 18 months. There were times that she had stayed the night at different nights. But we haven't actually fully moved in together because we were trying to, in the last 18 months, go the leeway in the process of what to do as far as us being together full time. And that's what we were working with Miss Jane as far as her like moving in. As far as us getting married and really being around each other, truly in my heart, I didn't think she could get in trouble. Because I'm 34 now and yeah, like I didn't know that she was on, I thought, she had did her time, that's been over 20 years ago. So I mean, I didn't, and in my heart, and the truth, she's not a true sex offender at all. And I'm really not no victim of any type of sex crime.
Okay.
We were in a consensual relationship, and like I said, even at that time, she wasn't supposed to be charged with that from my knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Kristen, Sharon.
Good morning, honorable board. I cannot speak on the circumstances in which lead us here today, but what I can attest to is that in 2023, when Ms. Posey came home, she could not live in our homes because of the location of our homes. Had to reside at her residence in Livingston Parish, which is the same parish in which I live. So therefore, every day I brought her to classes. She rode with me back and forth to classes to participate in our intensive programming. During that time of her release, Ashley has been great in communications with me. I have had continued communication and mentorship with Ashley since her release in 2020. Ashley, beyond my relationship with her through the Parole Project, I too was incarcerated with Ashley, so I know Ashley, have known Ashley for many, many years. And I've always known Ashley to be a rule and to do everything that she has to do. She has consistently worked. She's done work for herself at home. She's done everything in her power to maintain that job. I, again, can't attest to anything of the circumstances that lead us here today, but I can attest that when it was time for her to register, initially when she came home, I was the person who brought her to do all of those things from the very beginning. And I know for a fact that those things were put into place. However, you know, we're talking over 2 years now, but I can attest that throughout her course of her release up until this time, I can say that she has definitely maintained and worked very hard to maintain employment. She has worked very hard and continuously building relationships with her families and her friends. And she has continuously built that mentor connection between her and I. And I too am very sorry that we are here because of these circumstances. And I just wanted to speak in character witness that Ms. Posey has done remarkable things since she's been home.
Okay, question. So you can attest to all of that. You can also attest that she signed the sex offender contract and knew the rules.
So I can't attest to that. I just brought her to the registry place. I don't know the conversation. They don't, that was a one-on-one conversation between her and whoever she had to register with.
You knew there wasn't certain places she could live.
I brought her to those places to make sure that those things were taken care of. That's what it means.
Thank you. Questions?
Mr. Freeman, any other questions?
So you do admit that you signed the sex offender contract?
I mean, I'm assuming, yes, sir.
Okay, and I'm sure it was explained to you, because I know they explained that the office will relieve, explained several times, correct?
When I went to the probation and parole office after being released after 18 years, I think I reported within 48 hours maybe. And I can't really tell you, it was a male I spoke with. I can't tell you who that was. I did sign a lot of paperwork. No, sir, not every single piece of paper was explained and detailed to me to that. And under my conditions of being released from parole, to my knowledge, I mean, I really didn't have any stipulations that was handed down by the board for what I was being released on. When I went to the probation and parole or whatever, like I said, I did sign numerous of papers. No, sir, I cannot say for a fact that everything was, you know, written and told out to me, which was, I mean, it was my first time dealing with all that. I was under a lot of emotions already from being released after so long, you know, so that probably wasn't the forefront of my mind at the time, you know, as far as just being there and getting everything that needed to be done at that time. I mean, I can't
Okay,
say all of that.
Let me ask you this, so when you was working in Cameron, staying in Lake Charles, what was your work schedule? How many days a week you were working?
Oh, that just depend. It was never set out, it just depend on the weather. I mean, that all depend. We had no set schedule. Like it wasn't,
Did you ever
guaranteed. It
get a
wasn't
time?
guaranteed every day. No, sir. Like, I mean,
Okay, I have no further questions.
Okay, I believe it's time for a vote now.
So, Ashley, I know this is difficult for you, but I do see in the record you did sign the sex offender contract initially, June 19, 2023. And let's see, officer was Kevin Shockley. And they did have specific information regarding the juvenile victim. So you did sign. I think the reason we're here today is because you must have had some skepticism about what you were doing, because I don't think you were fully forthcoming with your parole officer. I did look back on the record, and as has been said, pretty much in every other regard, you were compliant with the conditions of parole. You just wasn't very honest with your officer. And I take issue with that. I do appreciate the presentation by Ms. Hogan and based on the testimony that we got this morning by Miranda. My vote today is going to be do not revoke, reprimand you and return you back to supervision. We fully expect you to be totally forthcoming with your officer.
yes, ma'am.
Mr. Freeman?
I find that you violated the rules of your sex offender contract. I think you had numerous opportunities to tell Mr. Fitzgerald what was going on. I think you knew you wasn't supposed to be around her, so you tried to hide it. So my vote is to revoke.
Okay, that's two, so it looks like I got to decide, because it takes 2 out of 3. My vote is also to grant. I think in this particular case that you just need to be more forthcoming and grant with a reprimand. I concur with Ms. Renata. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That'll sign off from Livingston. It's 9:23 in the morning. That's the end of this hearing. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Okay, gonna call this hearing to order. We're in Baton Rouge and we've already done our introductions. This is our second hearing this morning. So for purpose of that, it's still May the 15th and the time is 9:30. It's May the 15th of 2025, might say. And we're speaking to ALVIN PITRE, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
What is your DOC number?
593664.
Okay, thank you for that. And we're at Hunt Correctional Center. Is there anybody in there from Hunt?
Yes, sir. Deputy Warden Stephanie Michelle, Christy LeBlanc, classification.
Joe Buttress, Assistant Warden.
Okay, all right, we appreciate that. And this is this particular case is assigned to Miss Cheryl Renatza to my left, and Miss Renatza is going to take the hearing from here on out, and we'll ask some questions, then we'll have a chance to ask questions, and then we'll make our decision.
Okay.
Renatza?
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Petrie.
Good morning.
Mr. Petrie, so you're currently serving a 17-year sentence for a conviction in Lafourche Parish for forcible rape.
Yes, ma'am.
How much time have you served?
I think it's like about 16 years, something like that, because I got an out date next year around July.
Yes, your full term is July 29th of 2026.
Yes, ma'am.
And have you completed sex offender treatment?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you did that in 2012?
Yes, ma'am.
When's your last high court write-up?
I think it was about 3 years ago, I think, because I reheld some medicine that I was supposed to take, and I didn't take it because I didn't want to take it on an empty stomach, and I had got a write-up, and which I should have took it, you know, but I was wrong in holding it, you know.
So I noticed that you were denied in 2015. You've taken lots of programs and classes since that hearing. You were denied back then because there was victim opposition, law enforcement opposition, and you had gotten a disciplinary report. So out of the programs and classes since your last hearing, is victim awareness included in those classes?
Yeah, I have a thing on here that says victim awareness on this paper that I have right now.
So tell us, Mr. Petrie, why do you think you ought to be released on parole?
Well, I know I committed a bad crime, and I'm very sorry, and I just want to go back home, finish taking care of my family, and do the right thing, stay out of prison. You know.
Okay. Warden Michelle, is there anything you can tell us about Mr. Petrie?
No, ma'am, you covered the write-up, the last write-up, and pretty much everything. He's on light duty compound because he has a few little health issues, but that's it.
So let's hear from Mr. Petrie's supporters. We have your niece, Kim Porter here. We'd like to hear from Ms. Kim. You're still on mute.
Oh.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
What would you like us to know?
I mean, from what I've been having regular phone calls with my uncle and stuff, and you know, I've seen a change in him as far as, you know, just want to say that I'm proud of him for you know, talking about God, and he's been going to church, and he's also done some schooling there that I've seen. So I'm very proud of him for that. You know, He's been in there a long time, and we just, no matter what, we love him. So,
And is that, is Brenda Petrie there with you?
yeah, yes, ma'am. Yes,
Did she want to say something? Go ahead. We'd like to hear from you, ma'am.
Well, I miss my brother, and I would I really want him to come home. I think he's doing good, and we are proud of him for going to church, carrying the cross, and doing all the classes that he's been doing, and he's been praying for us, and we've been praying for him.
Good. Well, thanks. It's nice to hear from both of you this morning. We appreciate you speaking with us. We're going to move on now, and we're going to hear from Miss Kim Free. Miss Kim, if you want to step up to the podium. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I wrote down mine. I wanted to come today and talk about some of the unseen and unspoken ways that of the things he did has affected me. I want to not just talk about the effects of the act, but also the effects of the grooming that took place for years before what he did to us. I suffered from severe depression, stress, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and PTSD for years and even up to this day. For years of grooming, my subconscious has been compromised, making it hard to identify a good or a bad person or environment, only causing me to fall into more and more abuse and hardship. It took years of faith therapy and doing what I called de-grooming. I wanted to talk for a second about the life report he initiated on the rape. He had started off in our lives as sort of loving, trying to build up a bond and connection with us. But while he was doing that, he was going and installing a lot of fear in us in many ways, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And fear of him, he installed fear of him if we wanted to talk to anyone, fear of, things like monsters and ghosts. As a kid, these things terrified us. And somehow while he was doing all of this, he made us feel loved and that what we were receiving was love, even though that's not what love was. We're being neglected, dirty, scared, but somehow we still felt love. And this right here is what I believe did the most damage to me going into life forward, having that idea of that's what love is. After Alvin was sentenced, I spent years in therapy going 1 to 2 times a week. I suffered from suicidal thoughts for years and had a few attempts. I was diagnosed with the depression, anxiety, stress, and ADHD at 11 and was on about 5 different medications. By the time I was 12, the first time I abused my medication, I was 14. It was my IV medication and it didn't seem to work. So I started to sleep more when nobody was looking. My anxiety was severe that 2 of my 5 medications were for anxiety, and still they didn't manage to help because of the fear that I was living in constantly. even after he was in jail. I never felt safe at school or at home. I had not really talked about this until I was an adult, but when I was in school, I had what seemed like an irrational fear of Alvin breaking out of jail and coming into and breaking into my school and then into my class and raping me in front of the class as payback. And that sounds like a crazy fear to have, but it did. And every day I was in class, I had that fear and I would freeze up and tremble, and my teachers would have to come down and be like, Kim, are you okay? But even though I was doing all of this in class, I still was an honor student, making honor roll. I somehow managed to still do that. At home, I always felt an evil presence. I was constantly scared that there was something in my bed or my closet, which was another fear that he had installed in us for years. And actually, I only stopped being scared of things like this only a few years ago. And I'm gonna be 27 this year. I wanted to go on and say I don't use medications or anything anymore. That was something that I don't abuse medications or anymore. That was stuff I did between the ages of 14. Now I want to talk about my sex life immediately after the sexual abuse. I want to start when I was about the age of 9 and 10. Most kids at that age don't exactly have a sex life. While I technically didn't have one, while other kids just had crushes, I wanted more from my peers that I had crushes on. And I remember being disgusted and ashamed of myself. I hated my thoughts and myself. I felt like a freak. I had wrote a poem somewhere between the age of 10 and 11. This was before he was sentenced. And I did say that all these years had, I just wanted to read it real quick if that's okay. I wrote, I'm terrified, the pain multiplies all the abuse I have been used. Every passing day I try to walk away, but it hurts. Can't even read a verse, and with a knife I almost took my life. Instead I cried, asking God why. I just had to be. Oh, what he did to me. I used to be brave, used to be virgin, and now I'm virgin and screwed. He made me bruised, used to have hope, now I mope. I try to fight, but I need some light. He's done a crime, need some time, I'll testify, make him say bye. I wrote this when I was 10. See, I also, not long before this poem, I had my first suicide attempt. But after, going into that, that was around elementary, but when I went into middle school, it was a very hard and awkward, that's when a lot of girls are mean, and there's this one conversation that I had a few times in middle school that it was really in a group of, I'm trying to find where I wrote it sometimes. Now imagine it's lunchtime, you're in a circle with 11 to 13-year-old girls, and one of them suddenly asks the group of girls, are you a virgin? And 11-year-old asks you if you're a virgin, and 11-year-old you, who had gotten that stolen from them, is now frozen and has no words to come out their mouth. And when that girl sees you frozen, they go, oh my gosh, you aren't virgin, you're a slut, or whatever it is. And when you finally find the courage to find those words to say, I was raped a few years ago when I was 9,
just for little, a little girl who doesn't know much about anything about what happened to you, and that's, their hormones are crazy, to turn around and ask you right after you just said that, oh, I'm sorry. Like it. And this was extremely uncomfortable conversations that I had to have throughout middle school that I was not prepared for, even in high school. And then, when I did become more of an older and started to have consensual sex, that was still a scary thing for me. Even though that was something that, as humans we want to do, it was very scary, and I had a very healthy relationship with sex.
Kim, can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yes, ma'am.
So your relationship with Mr. Pitre, he was the boyfriend, I guess, of your grandmother.
Mhm.
And you've mentioned, in speaking with us, you've mentioned us. How many children were in the house?
It was me and my little sister.
And my record, I made a note at some point, I don't know if it was when he was, charged or convicted, but you were 7 or 8 years old. How old was your sister?
I was 9. It was 2 weeks after my 9th birthday when he started to engage in sexual acts with us. My little sister was born in 2000, so she was 7.
So she was 7.
Mhm.
I'm so sorry that you went through that. I'm glad to know that you're doing better. And I'm sorry you had to be here today, but I'm glad you got to share your story. I know it's difficult and took a lot of courage. I think we're in a good place. We have sufficient information to make a decision in Mr. Petre's case. If you'd like to go on, you can, or we can just cast our.
If I could just, my little sister didn't come, has not been, very brave enough to get into, or face any of the problems that she's had from this. But I would like to speak for her a little bit, on how it affected her. Well, now, I feel like as an adult, I'm going through life and I'm facing it and doing those things. My little sister had the complete opposite. She, as an adult, she's not able to think through her decisions, be responsible. She doesn't seem to think at all, because to think you have to remember everything that happened to move on, you have to remember everything. And she has chosen to forget and push back, and it's had a toll on her as going into adulthood. She hasn't seeked as much help as me. It's scary to seek help, especially for her. And she was scared to come here today as well.
Thanks for speaking up.
Okay, I believe, any questions, Mr. Freeman?
No, sir.
I have no questions. Mr. Locke, I believe it's time to vote.
Yeah, I'm ready to vote. Well, Mr. Pitre, you've heard the testimony this morning. Your actions had some very significant impact on the lives of those children, even now. I'm glad to know you took victim awareness. I'm glad to know you completed sex offender treatment, but based on the very, very strong opposition, my vote today is to deny your parole.
Mr. Freeman?
I concur.
Okay, I concur. Today your parole has been denied, and therefore that's the end of this hearing. It's 9:49 in the morning. Okay, good morning. Good morning. Mr. Tate, is that you I'm looking at?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and your name is DAVAUGHN Tate, and what is your DOC number?
763-257.
Okay, and you're at Hunt Correctional, and we've been at Hunt previously, so we don't need any introductions there, and we're here from headquarters in Baton Rouge. And so we've all introduced ourselves. So just for the record, it's May the 15th, 2025. The time is 9:56, and we're speaking to you from Baton Rouge, and we're here to hear your parole request case. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Pete Freeman, who will take it from there and will talk to you and get you to explain some things, and then call the witnesses that have shown up here to headquarters for you. And then we'll ask questions on the board, and then we'll take a vote. And so it'll be all over, to be reached in just a short time. Mr. Freeman, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Tate. I'm gonna read some stuff into the record. Stop me if you don't agree with anything, and we'll try to get it straight between us, okay?
All
All
right.
right, first off, you are a first felony offender. You had a parole date of 5/18/25. You have a good time date of 2/16/27, and you have a full term date of 5/18/2040. You were sentenced to 20 years for the offense of manslaughter. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Tate, as Mr. Prater said, I was assigned your case. Tell me what happened. What led up to these events and what actually happened?
All right. 2019, December 2nd, approximately around 2:45, I, DAVAUGHN Tate, came up with the idea to go to the bus stop and fight Javon Brown. And unfortunately, things didn't go the way I planned. And one of my co-defendants pulled out a gun and shot Javon Brown.
Did you have a gun?
No, sir.
Okay. Didn't y'all fight and then y'all ran into him again? Is that what I read?
Well, we had the fight, and then prior to the fight, one of my co-defendants pulled out the gun and shot Javon, and we ran.
All right. Yeah, it says that Kevin Anderson shot him, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Tell me, why do you think we should release you today?
Well, first I'm gonna say, my favorite scripture in the Bible is 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 17. If any man is in Christ, he is a new creature. Old things have passed, behold, all things have become new. And it's impossible to have an intimate relationship with God and still be the same. So, with that being said, I took the time out to invest in myself. First, I surrendered and admitted that I was a sinner and asked for forgiveness for my crime, and I just took the time out to invest in myself. And, around 2021, I came up with the decision that it was time to change. And I admitted that I need to change. And I took the first step. I got my high-set GED. I got enrolled in high-set GED class, and I just started taking steps. Up to this day, I accomplished a couple things, and I get up every day striving to do better than I did yesterday.
Okay. What started the argument between you two? It started at school, it started on the playground, what happened?
Between me and Javon Brown?
Yes, sir.
Over Instagram. It was over an Instagram page.
Okay. When somebody said something that somebody didn't like, and that's how it proceeded from there?
Yes, sir.
I see you have some medical conditions. What are your medical conditions? You've been to the hospital a few times.
Well, I just come from the Quincy work release, and I had cut my finger at the job, on the job site.
They gonna send you back to that work release if you don't make it today?
Well, as of now, I really don't know. I tried to get back to the work release, but no, I ended up staying at Hunts Bridge after I realized that. I mean, I've tried to get back, so I just was like, well, put me in the 5-7 program, the 5-7 transitional program, and you know, I just stopped even worrying about going back to work release. I just was like, let me get in these programs, and when I got in the 5-7 program, I realized it was a good, good program, and I just gathered the tools and started applying.
Okay, I just want to note for the record that the DA, the judge, the chief, and the attorney general are opposed. The victim's mother is strongly opposed, and the sister is also opposed. So tell me something, why you only have 90 days of good time? I know there's some required classes that you still need to take. I guess you went from parish to work release, or?
Yes, well, from Caldwell, I tried it, I got my GED at Caldwell. And I left from Caldwell and took the Quincy. And, my hours of working at the Quincy, I was working 12-hour shifts. And I really couldn't get in no classes. And there at the Quincy, they work is mandatory over classes. So that's why I really couldn't get no classes at the Quincy. So I just come here and got in, all the classes I could take here.
Okay, Warden, do you have anything to say?
Well, I show that he came in September of 24. It was a medical transfer here at Hunt. No write-up since he's been here. He is enrolled in as much as he can, and I show that he finished the transition. He did get out and graduate from the transition program in January.
Okay, see that credit must not be on this.
Right.
Okay, I have no further questions. Oh, I think we need to hear from the people that are here to speak on your behalf. Miranda Tate, mother.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Tate, would you step up to the podium and tell us what you want us to know about your son?
Good morning, my name is Miranda Tate, and I'm here to support my son, DAVAUGHN Tate. First off, I want to say that I'm proud of the man that he's become. He's gotten his GED, he's attended several good behavior classes, and he's gotten certified while he's been in there, and he's going to church, and I feel like he's a changed person and he deserves another chance. We all make mistakes, but it depends on if you want to change. And I feel like he have changed in him, and he's the best person.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, Mr. Curtis White.
My name is Curtis White. I'm support. And he really have changed. Me and him talk on the phone a lot, and he give me scripture, and tell me things about God and giving myself to God. And I do have if he do come home, when he come home, I do have a work for him. He help me cutting grass, and I do have 2 other kids to help me with. And it's nice for him to come home.
Thank you, sir. And Antonio Whithouse? Or with?
Yes, my name is Antonio Whitmore. I'm DAVAUGHN Tate uncle. I'm brother to his dad. And I really feel that my nephew has changed. Like my brother said, he called, we talked on the phone, both of us really talking on the phone. He always talking about work. I'm well into plants, working and stuff like that. And tell me he got his OSHA card. And I want, first thing first, I want him to get his TWIC card. First, when we get that TWIC card, we can start on, getting a job. But that's the main thing he can talk about. And I got a job lined up for him too, he can cut grass with his dad until he gets TWIC card. It takes a while to come in. But once he get that, they just called me today telling me, hey, if he does get out, send him on over. And we'll have some, keep him working. One thing I know is when you're working, you got time, you be too tired to go out in the streets and do anything else, But, I know I really do believe he'll be able to excel at
And just to let you know, the TWIC card can be gotten through the probation office.
the probation. Oh, okay.
Tell them to get in touch with the probation officer, they write a letter and it goes like TWIC card.
Oh, like, see, that's what okay, gotcha.
I have no further questions.
No questions.
Okay, I believe it's time for the vote.
I'd like to ask for an executive session.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Got a request for motion for executive session?
Renassa,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Prater.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna have a short executive session in the back. Shouldn't take but just a couple of minutes. We will be right back to conclude this hearing. Got a motion to go back in the regular session and a second. All in favor, say aye. Okay, being no objections, we have discussed our procedural matter and we come back and Mr. Freeman, it's your case.
Okay, Mr. Tate, I enjoyed your interview today. You was 18 when this happened. I think you were definitely on the right track. But you do have, as required by law, you got 2 classes you have to take, substance abuse and I forgot the other one that you missed, but it's pre-release. So, once you take those classes, that's gonna give you a year credit. So it'd be a good time date will be next year. So my vote today is to deny so that you can finish those classes, but keep your head up. I think you're doing an excellent job. And I know the money was good at the work release, but I think the classes will help you better to stay out. You got great family support.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Tate, I enjoyed listening to everybody who spoke today. I was very encouraged by your quote of scripture. And I see that you got your OSHA card just this month. So you are definitely on the right track. I'm very proud of you for not asking to go back to work release because you wanted to take advantage of the classes. And I want you to be able to do that as well. They got some really good classes there at Hunt that's good. We want you to get out of jail too, but we want you to be successful and stay out of jail. And I think they can give you those tools. So for those reasons, plus there's some victim opposition. My vote today is to deny your parole, to give you the opportunity to get the programs and move your good time date forward and then go take advantage of your dad and uncle's opportunities for work. Good luck.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and that'll, my vote is also to concur with my 2 board members and and that'll conclude this hearing. Your parole has been denied, but take heart in the fact that you were very impressive. You're gonna get out a lot sooner than you thought anyway. Take those 2 courses and you'll be out next year. And anyway, good luck. I know you're gonna make it. That'll conclude this hearing. It's 10:10. We got one more at Hunt. Oh, okay, Mr. Carl England, is that you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, good morning. It is still morning. And what's your DOC number, Mr. England?
95266.
Okay, 95266. Okay, that's what we have down here. And we're in Baton Rouge, and this is our third here and there at Hunt. So we've already had staff introductions here and there. For purposes of the record, it's 10:17 in the morning, and today's date is May the 15th of 2025. We're here because you have requested to be paroled early for the crime that you committed. And so that's why we're here. So we want to hear from you just exactly why are you there? What are you sentenced to? What's the length of time? And what'd you do? And why should we consider letting you out? We've got all that information here, but I want to hear it from your mouth.
I'm here on a crime I committed first degree attempt murder and aggravated burglary. I'm coming here. I've been serving now 20 years, 20 plus about 3 months. 20 years and 3 months I've been serving time for these for these charges. And what is the other question you had needed to know?
Okay. And just exactly why do you think that we should consider letting you out early? What have you done to warrant not having to serve your whole sentence?
I've been productive in this community. I've been doing a lot of things, like going to a lot of programs. I have been taught by a lot of people's a lot of stuff like at work, living with like working at skilled nursing, being a caretaker and stuff like that. I learned a lot and I have matured. And no substance to carry me that to bring my life down like I once have did. You know, like stiffing glue, that was my downfall. And I thought it was something good, but yet it was something that made me evil and made me commit some crimes that right now that I regret that I ever have done in my life. And I know if being released early, I can do some productive things for myself. Then the Parole Project, they got some programs that'll help me. And I know if they was around, they said they have some nice programs that I know that they can help me. And I asked also for this honorable board. I thank y'all, first of all, for letting me be here. And I asked for help from y'all, as like, you know, for restrictions, you know, like a lay monitor or something of that nature, whatever restriction that is to be given. And that when I release it, I can be able to go back home and be of help, not only to my family, but other people's also. And if I could one day help the victim out, who I committed a crime against, because I take full responsibility for what I have done. And these things I do regret greatly, because I feel like if I would have known better now, if I would have known better back then what I know now, my life, I would have never committed none of these crimes. I would have been a better person in life where I could have helped people and help others and help myself. And I think that the board could see that I tried my best to do things unproductive. And you can see that write-ups, I try not to get any write-ups. I haven't had any write-ups since I've been at Hunt. I only had like 2 or 3 write-ups since I was like in Angola, never from smoking a cigarette. And other than that, I don't. My behavior is very. Everybody enjoy me being around. I try to help people, and when I participate in these programs, I try to be of help, and people have been great help to me. And I feel like with my life, with these things being given a chance, I can go to society and be productive once again. Not be a troublemaker, not to be in no part of no crime, but I can be of help to someone as well as to myself.
Okay. Warden, what kind of fella has he been?
So, he is a trustee. He works in our skilled nursing unit as a health caretaker. Always willing to help, no problems on our end. Hasn't had, last write-up was 2012. And that was when he was at Angola. So, you know, very trusted, to work around our, very sick inmates here at Hunt, so that says a lot.
Okay. All right, thank you. We got, Mr. Kerry Myers. Is Mr. Myers ready to talk to us about parole project?
Yes, good morning. Kerry Myers here with the Louisiana Parole Project. Here on behalf of Mr. Carl England, to let the board know that we have accepted Mr. England as a client in our program. And should this board grant us parole today, we're going to provide support for Mr. England. We're prepared to provide him long-term support, long-term housing, employment assistance. We're prepared to help him through our social workers to address any unmet needs that he might have as he comes out. Mr. England has, as you've just heard, has an exemplary disciplinary record. He's been working on the skilled nursing unit for approximately 6 years, which is significant because by doing so, Mr. England has tapped into something, essentially recognizing the value of life and tapped into his own humanity. By doing that, that's a very difficult job to do, and he's done it for 6 years, and he's done it in a way that's, as you heard the warden, is outstanding. He's earned over 465 CTRP credits, the maximum. He's exceeded the maximum he can earn. He is 63 years old. There really isn't anything else that he can do being incarcerated. We're prepared to support him. He has family support. Again, we're prepared to assist Mr. England fully in his reentry. So we'd ask this board to consider those things and grant us parole today.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Myers. We appreciate that. And also joining us at Hunt is your daughter and your wife. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
and both of them want to speak to us. And so, who would like to go first?
I would like to go first.
Daughter.
You can stay seated. We can hear you and see you right there. So that's fine. Go ahead and tell us what you've got to say.
Good morning, Mr. Franklin. My name is Quintia England. I am the daughter to Carl England. I am actually the third born. I'm the third of his children. And every time that we have visited our father, he is in good spirits. He is very positive. He always encourages us through cards when we visit, letters. He's been more of a support system to us being in here. When we're going through things, in the world, he's able to calm us down and help us out and give us an encouraging word and share with us the things that he have learned, through different programs that he have been in Elaine Hunt. And that says a lot about his character. And when we come to visit him, we're open. It's an open conversation. Anything y'all have to ask me. And of course, we ask, hey, why did you do this? And what caused you to do that? And he's very honest with us. He leaves nothing out, and he lets us know, that he is remorseful for the things that he have done. And hey, I take full responsibility, but being in here, learning how to, channel my anger, learning the things that I had a problem with growing up that I didn't know how to, fully get over or address. I have learned so much in here, for sure. And when a person makes mistakes, at first, some people don't realize they make mistakes. Some people, they know they made a mistake, they just don't want to acknowledge their mistakes. But with time, with different things of support, meaning the classes, coming across different people from all walks of life, that helps a person realize, okay, I was wrong in what I did. I now see my mistake, and I'm going to make the effort to change. And that shows a lot about someone's character when they make the effort to change. That's maturity. That is change. Because you have people who make mistakes, they own up to it, but they don't do better. And from seeing my father in prison for so long, I have seen a change.
You know, things happen, he doesn't easily get upset. He said, okay, we're gonna pray about it. You know, I have seen his walk with God get stronger, and that has made my faith grow in God. You know, because I see a change in my father, and I pray that, you know, the Lord touches our heart to release him, because he does have a strong support system in our family.
Okay.
You
All
call
right.
records.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate it. Let's hear from the wife now. What would you like to tell us?
I would just like to say, I think Carr has, made a change in, these years to, past that he have been in here, and the programs that he have taken have, made him realize that he could, that he can be a better person. He can be a more compassionate and understanding person. He could use that wisdom that he has learned to, go a different way when things have come up against him. And I just, know that he is a better person. I know down through the years I'm married, we've been married, July the 20th will be 40 years that we've been together. We have 3 kids together, and I believe he have learned down through the years what this has caused him, the separation from his family, and that his children had to come and see him in prison, and his grandchildren has come to see him in prison. And I don't believe that this is something that he really wanted or proud, but this is what he had to go through to see that he, you know, to make him a better person for his family. The things that he went through in life, that he could be a better person for his grandson, his granddaughters, and that he could tell them a better road to travel.
Okay. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate those words. And just for the notes, wanted you to know that the First 72 program folks are also listening to this call and have written a letter and are willing to help any way that they can. Okay, your case has been assigned to me to do the interview, and then I'll invite my colleagues to ask any questions they have so that they can be sure of their votes in just a few minutes. But there's a couple of things, Mr. England. What you did was a very heinous crime. Why did you do that?
Well, I was really angry at the time because at the time I gave her mother, like, bought her a car and she stole $2,000. I went there for it, and it wasn't my intention to hurt her. I was out of anger, and when I grabbed the knife that I grabbed, it was wrong, and there's a crime that I did, and it was really all behind $2,000 that her mother had stole from me, and that was really hurt more. But it didn't hurt me. It hurt me more what I did to her, the crime I committed against the person, how I hurted her, than the $2,000. They could have kept the $2,000. I wish I would have never even went there. I wish I could have just stayed where I was at and accept that loss, because I had a job that was paying me good money. So I really shouldn't even mess with it. I was really wrong for what I did, that crime. And I live up to that responsibility that I was wrong for that act that I committed against her.
Okay, I hadn't heard you say much about the victim.
Well, the victim, she was a nice person. Me and her, we got along good. And that's why I said it really hurted me more. I knew it hurt her also, and I hope she come to forgive me, because she was like a daughter to me also, because when I first came into their life, it was her and her little baby was just born. And I worked in like 2 jobs, trying to take care of that family as well as take care of my children and help my wife out also from another end. And the young lady, she never was no problem to me. And if she was standing here today, she'll tell you that me and her got along real good. And it was just like an act of something that came over me, and I don't even know why I even done what I did to her. And really, I'm sorry for what had happened. I'm very remorseful. I'm very regretful for what I did to her. Because Alexis was a nice person. She was very nice to me. Her and her daughter both. And, I treated them like they was, like she was my stepdaughter, and I treated her like she was my granddaughter, the little baby. And it's that something happened between me and her mama, and I was angry, and I just I took the hang out on her for some reason. It was wrong. It was wrong. It was wrong.
Okay. Have you taken some victim awareness training and?
I took, yes, sir, I took the victim awareness. I went to victim awareness class. I just come from out of that class. I took the pre-release class. I took the living balance, Cajun raging class. I took them classes, and I learned a lot from them. You know, not to let nothing trigger me to ever want to do this again. And it was some very successful classes. I learned a lot from them. And then hearing other people's story, how they had to learn how to control their anger, and how drugs, you know, played a factor in their lives. And that's why I thank God now today that I never had no desire to have any more drugs in my life, stiffing glue or anything of that nature, or drinking or beer or anything. You know, so that's why these classes helped me a great deal.
Okay, that was my next question is you keep talking about anger management and how you got to learn to get your temper under. But according to the police reports, it was you said something about you'd been to New Orleans and been doing cocaine all night or something before this happened. Is that correct?
No, I never got, I told him I was stiff and glue. I never done any cocaine.
Okay, you never did it. No. You didn't tell Boo that you had gone to New Orleans and had been snorting coke all night?
No, coke? No, sir. Now, they might have put that down in the report, but sir, I tell you, I still glue. But coke, no. I still glue. That's all I do. Ever done in my life, I still glue from since I was a little bitty boy. Cocaine, I never did like the cocaine. I didn't like nobody do cocaine.
What kind of drug did you like best?
Only thing I ever did was glue, stiffing glue. Like wood glue.
Were you sniffing glue before you did this? Beat this lady up?
Yes, I did. I was sniffing glue that night. Yes.
What's gonna keep you from sniffing glue when you get out?
Well, for one, I am mature and I know better now, not to stiff any glue. I done come across like in the hobby shop. I done been around these things. I had SS if I wanted to do it. I don't do it. I've been around gas, and these are the things that, and I thank God I've been strong enough. Thank you for that willpower to not to even attempt to even get loaded or anything like this. And by watching these guys get loaded, I have seen guys through these years I've been down getting loaded and how they react. This is the thing that keep me from even thinking about doing any drugs in my life again.
Because you've done some pretty bad things in your life. Wasn't just this one incident. But you got sentenced to 43 years in jail and you've done about 20.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Panel?
I have no question.
I have a couple questions. Tell me about the aggravated escape. Where did you get that gun from?
Aggravated escape took place in Jefferson Parish back in 1989. It was an act of, I don't think somebody want to think, because as the FBI has said, it was totally impossible for him to say that you was in the backseat of a car. There was a gun. I told officer, I said, you got a gun in this backseat. Which he opened up the door, stopped the car, opened up the door. And when he done it, I ran out the car. I never did pick up the gun, but they found the gun. They found the gun. And from the FBI helped them find the gun.
Take the officer's gun from him also?
I didn't take no gun from the officer. Officer opened that back door. When he opened that, and that, excuse me, sir, when he opened that back door up, and when I told him he had a gun in that back seat, I'm handcuffed. I'm handcuffed from behind. And that's what happened. And that's why the FBI, when they caught up with me in St. Tammany Parish, that's when they asked me with a gun. And I said, they had the gun. The gun, when I come out of the car, the gun hit the ground. And I kept running. But that was aggravated way back in 1989 on another charge. And
yeah, I'm just reading from when the deputy turned around to look at the arrestee. He saw the offender had a silver-plated handgun in his hand and was pointing at the deputy. That's in the, we don't need to discuss that.
When the
Okay.
FBI okay.
Let's go on to the other thing. When you were arrested, didn't you go to her house and hide under the porch with a bat? And then come back
I
later?
was sitting down by the trailer. I was sitting down by the trailer at the time when she came to the house, and I got out, and then when they pulled up in the car, I got up and I come talk to them, but I didn't have no bat in my hand. The bat
No.
that they,
I don't remember anything. So you don't remember beating on the car with a bat?
no, sir, I didn't beat them on the car, on no bat.
I have.
When I talked to Alexis, she had got out the car, and the guy, come out the car, they wanted to fight me, and she told me, leave me alone. And then I didn't have them because the bat that they had in court, they got somebody else DNA on it and somebody else fingerprints.
Okay.
And there was no minds on that all.
I have no further questions.
I have no questions.
Okay, no questions. It's time for us to vote. Mr. England, you got a good support system. You got good, looks like you got good everything. The only thing bothers me is you got some serious crimes and you hadn't even served 50% of your time. And so my vote, because of that, I think you need more time in there. And think you need to really realize what kind of problems you got. It's not just anger. You got some substance abuse problems you got to deal with when you get out. And you also, I'm really concerned that I've asked you a couple of questions and Mr. Freeman's asked you a couple of questions and you're completely at odds with what's written down in front of us by different people. It's not just one deputy could have told a little different story than what you got. It's several people here. And so I'm concerned with all of that. But the main thing is I think that you need to serve at least half your time. You need to serve 50% of the 43 years and you got a terrible criminal history. So with that, my vote is to deny.
Mr. England, I do appreciate the comments that Warden Michelle has made on your behalf. I do agree with Mr. Prater, though, for the same reasons my vote today is to deny you parole. It's just not your day to day.
I concur.
Okay, I'm sorry to tell you this, but your parole as of today has been denied. We encourage you to continue doing and acting like you're doing with your conduct and your teaching and training and working out there and everything that you're doing. We appreciate your family being there to support you, and I know there will be the next time may work out better for you. So that'll conclude this hearing. It's 10:39, and I think we're through at Hunt Correctional, so we'll be signing off for today. That's the end of parole committee hearings for May the 15th, 2025.